I'm Heidi Malacco, and I'm here for Cavallo today, talking with Scarlet Walker with Horses for Productions. And she has such a fun story to tell us. First, just how cool it is, what her job is, and I want her to tell us a little bit about that. And then we have some fun Cavallo news about how she worked with Cavallo to get some boots on some very cool horses for a very cool person. So, Scarlett, first start out, tell us a little bit about what your business is and how you got into this.
Yeah, so again, my name is Scarlett, and we have a Los Angeles-based company called Horses for Productions. We've had the company for probably, I'd say 30 or maybe even more years. My mom has just always been a horse crazy lady.
Nice.
And 30 or so years ago, she had a pile of horses, and somebody was like, I'm doing a music video. Could you bring a horse for it? And she was like, sure, like that could be fun. So she did that, and then people would say, hey, I have an engagement photo shoot coming up. Can I use your horse for it? So she kind of just started doing like little backyard jobs with horses. And what she didn't realize is that, 20 years later, it would bloom into a larger business. So I've always just kind of gone on set with her. I think I was probably 5 when I went on my first set. And I just loved it. And probably I'd say 12 years ago, I kind of started taking the company over a little bit more, doing stuff a little more official, like having a website, having cards. Mm-hmm. She was just always kind of like a little
word of mouth.
Yeah, backyard ranch lady.
Right.
We started, actually doing it really official, getting everything in line. And we have just a pile of lovely horses. And to be honest, our horses just kind of come from all over the place. They're we get a lot of them from kill pens. A lot of them just kind of come from like unwanted situations. Very rarely do we go out and like buy an expensive horse for our company.
How many horses do you have?
20 something.
20 something, probably, and they probably shift around a little.
And there's ponies. So I'm like, does a pony count as a full horse, or is it only 25% of a horse? So I always say I try not to count because what's another horse or two.
Right. And do you have to almost have some different looks at this point, like the white horses for the gallant views, and then you have some dark horses? Do you have to have kind of a thought of what the horses look like a little bit?
Yeah, so we do have like an array of breeds. I've got a Frisian, an Andalusian, a lot of quarter horses, some thoroughbreds, a couple great mutts. But yes, we do need like different colors. We call them sometimes like teams of horses too. So we'll have like 2 or 3 white horses or 2 or 3 black horses that all sort of look similar, but one maybe lays down, one maybe rears, one maybe jumps, one is just more for talent. So we do have like teams of horses that can kind of double each other. But yes, lots of different colors and breeds.
And then do you and your mom do all the training for their specific needs on set?
Yes, and then I also have a boyfriend that's equally as horse crazy as I am, who does a really great job with the training. He's a little bit more patient than I am. I can admit that I'm not a very patient person, but I can tell him how to train the horse to do something, and then he's the one that will then go take the time.
Break it down.
Horse, yeah, and then I can kind of from an outsider look and say, give him some pointers. So together we do a really good job training the horses to do what they need to do. And my mom is still involved in the business, but she is a bit retired these days, so we always kind of joke that she's just around like back and like drinking coffee while I'm the one that's actually like doing all the work.
Emeritus, right?
Yeah.
Still gets all the benefits. Okay, so you said you have like some teams of horses and some looks, so let's bridge that into the announcement people have probably seen. There were some white horses for a very special event that was first on Netflix and live on Christmas Day for Beyoncé. And so tell us a little bit about how that came to be and what horses you used and just how cool that was to be able to do this with Beyoncé.
Yeah, so we had a team of, I think it was probably 9 total gray horses. Obviously they look white, but they technically were all gray.
Officially gray, yes.
Officially gray. So we had a group of gray horses. We had what we call like the hero horse, so the main horse, and that is a lovely little Azteca named Marshmallow. And he was Beyonce's steed for the day. And then we had 4 other gray horses that we had a team of very trained riders standing on. And then we had backup horses at the trailer. We had some what we call pilot horses. So those will be like if Beyonce needed like a lead in we had a couple horses ready for that. Fortunately, she did not. Marshmallow was lovely and very brave, and Beyonce is very calm and composed on set, and I think that really helps the horses feel confident. But yeah, I think there was a total of probably 9 horses on set, and we did some prep days prior, some training days, and then we had one main day.
Awesome. Well, very cool on that. And then the whole Cavallo coming in for this. So you were ready, you got the horses ready. I imagine that in itself is a huge thing, deciding what horses are going to be used. And then I heard you got to the facility and realized that there was a tarp that you weren't expecting to see. So tell me about that moment when it seems like you're together, everything's planned, and then you see something that throws a loop in your plan.
Yeah, well, in all honesty, the whole job was very not so much rushed, but just very short. Like, there was a lot to do. It was a lot of very, very long days and many hours, because the tack all had to be painted white. Obviously, gray horses love to be filthy, so there was lots and lots of baths, and just sourcing things. We had a carriage on set, just sourcing lots of things. And we had sort of seen a map about where it was going to be and got to do what we call like a tech scout or a location scout prior, and realized that this was on cement and concrete, and the carpet that she rides down was carpet, but it was sort of like a very thin, like slippery carpet. And so we were like, oh my goodness, like we typically always have some sort of traction shoes on horses anytime we're going to be on cement or concrete, because as we know, horses do slip. Even if they're barefoot, or especially if they have metal shoes on, they do have the potential to slip. And obviously, if you've ever felt that feeling, it's an awful feeling having a 1,200 pound animal slip out from underneath you.
Yes.
So we're really, really big on safety. So I knew that something needed to be addressed about the shoes. Obviously, there's a couple different options, but sometimes putting on the rubber shoes takes a long time, especially if you have 9 horses and 4 feet each. Do the math. That's a lot of feet to do in a couple days' notice. So I reached out to them, and I've used the boots before in the past, and they're lovely. I mean, I have a decent amount of pair of them, but obviously not enough for 9 horses.
Right.
So I had spoke with one of your team members, Jenny, because a couple years ago we had done a miniature donkey for the Oscars, and I had used the boots, and they're so tiny and cute, and they worked great because that donkey was on stage, on a very slippery stage. So I'd used the boots, and you guys were like, oh my gosh, those are our boots, they're so cute. So I'd kind of talked to one of your team members a little bit, and so I reached out to her and I was like, I need boots for 9 horses that need to be here in 4 days. Can we make that happen? And you guys were so lovely, because I had signed NDAs, so I couldn't tell you guys anything. And I was like, I think it's going to be something really cool with a really cool singer, or I couldn't even tell you a singer, a really cool person. Can you help me? And there was like no questions asked. You guys were like, absolutely. What do you need? Measure horses. Let's get the boots out to you like right away. And it did. I mean, within probably like 48 hours of me measuring all the horses, which we'd had another fire here, we had like rain before that, like it was just like wild weather here. And a lot of times when we don't have a lot of times when there's fire, the power goes out, so we don't have cell service. So there was just like, it was just wild here trying to measure all these horses and get the measurements to you. And I was like, there's no way that you guys are going to get these boots to us with such short notice. And sure enough, on like 48 hours later, a FedEx truck showed up with just a bunch of boxes with the boots, and it was like horsey Christmas, because just instantly I had my boyfriend's a farrier, and my mom's actually a retired farrier, so they were both here at the ranch, and just instantly we just started like throwing boots on horses, writing their names, doing our best to keep stuff organized. And I was shocked because all the measurements I had sent you guys, and the boots that you had told us, Marshmallow was going to be a size 3 or whatever, they fit exactly. I mean, everyone was just
wonderful.
Like spot on measurement was correct. I was shocked about it.
Well, that's awesome. And I know, so I just got to do a little interview with our own team with Jenny and Yvonne, who's kind of our measure extraordinaire. And so she was saying how wonderful it was that you all understood production side and could take photos that really helped her, and that's such a big thing. And that's part of what I wanted to talk a little bit more about, the process too, and how great that they got there and they fit and they were the right size. But just knowing if you follow those directions and get that measurement, hopefully you do have a boot that fits as soon as you get it out of the box, and it's just taking good photos. So did you help each other take the photos, or how did you get the measurements and the directions for that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys had sent us how to measure them, and it was just, simple pictures, this way for measurements. So we grabbed a tape measure, and our property's kind of big, so there's like the horses are all over. So I had to, jump in the gator and go measure horses. And of course, I'm trying to get emails and calls from this job, and everyone's, wanting things from me. And so just really quickly, we went out to every horse, snapped a picture of a measurement tape measure on, lateral and upways, and just like put in like a PDF and sent a picture of them. And if I can do it for 9 horses in a rush, anybody else could do it for 1 or 2 horses.
That's good.
It was very easy. And like you said, the measurement just came out really lovely. And I had some horses that had, I have a horse that has like wedge pads, and a horse with regular pads. And so even with those being on their hoofs for the pictures and the measurements, the boot still fit them perfectly.
That's wonderful. And of course, as a company, we try to promote barefoot, but we know within the industry or certain horses, there's times that they're going to have shoes on as well. And I'm sure sometimes they need shoes on for what they're required to have for what you need. But knowing the boot can go on over the top of that, I think is a cool thing for people to know as well. And yes, so then you can have that extra traction, but have whatever they need therapeutically under that too.
Exactly, yeah. So again, some of the horses had wedge pads, and you guys had sent us some of your pads, which were lovely, and some little socks too. I have one little quarter horse Arab who's very sensitive, so the little socks like really helped for her. And some of the horses that, even though I had taken the picture with the shoes on, we ended up pulling them and making them barefoot, because the boots, we got the Trek boots, and because the Trek boots fit on them so nice, they could go barefoot for these jobs.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was really impressed about the fitting process, I guess.
Good. Okay, so fast forward to the day you're shooting this, you're there, and I'm sure you get everything ready, and then you're like, okay, I've set things up, my horses seem calm, but there has to be that moment of watching it all happen. Like, walk us through watching the actual filming take place.
Very stressful. Everyone's always like, your job is so fun and so cool. And it is, when the job is done and everything has gone safe. But as we know, horses are very unpredictable, and we do our absolute best to make sure our horses feel comfortable on set. We do lots of training, lots of time, but there is some stuff that I cannot rehearse at home on the ranch.
Right.
So they let us go prior to this and have what we call like a prep day, like a on location prep day. So we were able to walk the horses through everything, see the cars, see the fireworks and all the scary, music. And it was filmed with like a camera car, so there was like a UTV with a big arm in front of it, or in front of the horse. So we were able to see all that stuff. So it always makes me feel better when we get to do that, because we kind of know what the horses are gonna like and aren't gonna like. And everybody was like, I'm so proud of the horses, because everybody just was so calm and cool. And like, I had a great group of wranglers. We also typically have like an American Humane representative on for these jobs. So we have, somebody there, making sure that everybody just feels 100% safe. All the horses have veterinary health certificates prior, so everyone is, cleared to be very healthy. So we did our prep day. Everything went really well. It was a very long day, which was also another really good reason to have the boots, because they did have to stand around for long periods of time.
Good point.
And even though they're trailers with shavings, and some of it was on dirt, there was still a lot of concrete standing. So it's really nice to have the boots, not only for traction, but just for like comfortability for standing. That was lovely. And yeah, so we just kind of put it all together. We would rehearse bits and pieces at a time, and then we brought in the 4 standing horses, kind of let them calm down. I had ridden Marshmallow through it numerous times, and then Beyoncé was literally just chomping at the bit, so it was time to put Beyoncé on. We worked with Beyoncé a couple times before, and she's really lovely. She's very, like I said, just quiet and composed, and I think that really the horses really reflect off that, because as we know, horses, are very sensitive to people. So if we have a talent that's very nervous and scared on set, the horses kind of pick up on that.
Sure.
So it's always been lovely that she's just been so calm and collected. So it was time to put her on Marshmallow and bring her in, and she did probably, I'd say, 6 takes on the horse, and she had to hit her mark a specific time every time, and she hit it just perfectly. And that's sort of why we had somebody leading her too, is because she needed to be able to focus on the song and not the speed of the horse in the camera car. So we had somebody lead her. They hit their mark perfectly every time. And she was just lovely. I mean, her and the horse really got along well. And it was just really nice. You know, we had some kind of nice conversations with her, and it was just really nice to like get to spend some kind of quiet time with her. And what people don't really see from that is the amount of wranglers and, like I said, American Humane reps that are like all behind the camera.
All right behind there.
Yeah, we were like, you know, 8 or 10 feet away. As the camera car moves, me and I guess it was probably 4 other wranglers were like trotting along the camera car, you know, just in case anything went wrong, to be really close. And then the camera car kind of pulls up and pans on those 4 horses. And so I'm behind the camera, like telling them to whoa, and, you know, making little faces at them that nobody better move. But it was
and pantomime, I'm sure.
Everybody whoa. But no, it was a really lovely experience, and everybody on the production was so accommodating to us and the horses. If there was anything that we needed, it was like right there, right away for the horses. So.
Well, and just I'm sure seeing that the boots worked, because not that you are as concerned how they look, but that they are staying on and not slipping, and everybody's stepping correctly and standing where they need to. So,
and yeah, it was really nice not having to worry about the boots. I knew that they fit everybody well. I knew that all the horses were comfortable in them. I knew that there was just not going to be any issue with traction with the boots on. And the Trek ones are really nice because they only have like one piece of Velcro, but they're really like, they feel really secure. Like I didn't have to worry about the horses walking out of them, where there are some other brands of boots that we've used in the past that have pieces on them that could break, or, you know, they could step out of them if they took a funny turn or a fast turn. But these boots were just like, I had no concern that they were going to come off at all.
That's awesome. Well, I will say this has to be interesting in your business, but Beyoncé had a really good seat. Like she looked like she was actually on the horse, you know, you in the saddle, not on the saddle. That has to be interesting with different people you've worked with when they look like they're propped up versus, okay, you know, that calmness that they're just sitting down with the horse. And so I think that's an interesting aspect of what you're talking about, of how the different actors or whoever they are might interact with the horses.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely, you know, she has a good seat. She's ridden a decent amount. I think I've had her on probably 4 of our different horses in the past, and so she's ridden a decent amount. And again, I think a lot of it is just she's such a composed person that I think that calmness really just helps kind of bring everybody calm. And you know, she admitted that she was nervous, and I don't blame her. It was a very, you know, lot of eyes watching, and to add in, you know, several live animals obviously makes things could go wrong. And I know she had expressed that she was nervous about having her daughter there as well. So I know there was a lot of things for her to be nervous about, but she did such a good job just like staying focused and staying calm for the horse part. And I think that really helped us and the horse, everybody stay calm.
Very cool. And then tell us about a little bit more about the horses that stood still and people were standing on to the side. How do you get those riders, and how to have the horses stand that still? Yeah,
so I always do crazy stuff like that, jump on my horses and stand up. We have like just I mean, I have an abundant amount of pictures of me standing on horses doing silly stuff, so it really worked out well.
It was normal for the horses.
Yeah, the majority of those horses are like, oh yes, it's just our crazy owner standing on top of us taking funny Instagram pictures. So we did, though, we had a training day prior, and we brought in probably 8 riders, I would say. And I had a lovely lady named Kansas Carradine, who's a trick rider who I've worked with a lot, come in and sort of be, I guess, like the head person for that, because I knew that I was going to have my focus 100% on Beyoncé and not really help give.
That's a whole other little mini production.
Yeah, and that it all played at the same time. You know, there was no cutting. It was live from her walking up to the horses all standing there. So there was really no like where I could be both places. So I knew I needed to focus 100% on Beyoncé looking well and staying on the horse well. So I kind of put Kansas in charge of that. And she is, like I said, a fabulous trick rider. She does Roman riding. She stands on horses all the time, so she has wonderful balance. I also used another stunt rider named Calder Griffin, who also has stood on horses since he was probably a few days old. I mean, it's like one of those things that's just in his blood. And then we kind of picked through the other riders who would be the other two best riders. And we did a training day prior with all of the horses. So there's a great picture of, I think it's 8 or 9 gray horses all standing, and everybody's standing on them. So that was kind of fun to do here at the ranch, and just see, what horses and riders were going to be the most comfortable, who we could kind of fit together. And those horses just were really solid. I had 2 of them are carriage horses. We had the option of potentially having a carriage on set too, in case Beyoncé wanted to ride in a carriage. So I had those
like,
big
this is too much. That was the backup plan.
Yeah, just in case she, felt uncomfortable on the horse, or in case it was too much for the horses, they wanted to have kind of a backup plan. So I had some carriage horses there. We use them because they're lovely big draft horses that, are the size of tanks. And then I had a couple other gray horses too, and everybody was just super solid, just never blinked wrong. There's so much commotion. Again, there was ramps they had built, there was a UTV with an arm, and everybody I was very proud of the horses. Awesome. They did a really good job. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, did Beyoncé say anything about riding Marshmallow? Was there anything you're allowed to share with us of what she thought of the experience?
Yeah, she said she had a lovely time, and she, like I said, admitted in the beginning she was a little nervous, and then afterwards she just stood around and took pictures on him, and she really had a good time. And people always love the boots on set because they joke that they're like the horse's tennis shoes. So, we're sitting there laughing with Beyoncé about the horse in their tennis shoes. But I always explain to people, not only are they to look kind of cute, but they are mainly for attraction as well.
I think one of the things that's been amazing about the art that she's put out lately is enticing people to the Western world, to people that might not have been interested in horses, thinking, oh, I want to go ride, I want to have that Western look, and just how cool that is. And then to have her riding in boots and kind of, showing that, hey, this is a way to not only keep you safe, but the barefoot movement is kind of out there to the highest level on the Queen. So that's kind of a cool thing. Do you see that maybe boots are getting a little bit more visibility and acceptance out in the world, especially when the pop stars are getting to ride in them?
Yeah, I mean, I think the boots are great. Any horse that can go barefoot, I think, is so great. Any horse that can go bitless and barefoot, I fully support it. Where we are is very rocky, so we occasionally do have to put shoes on them.
Sure, there's always times.
Yeah, and I do have a decent amount of horses that are barefoot, and when I need to go on a long trail ride, I'll put some sort of boots on them. And yeah, I mean, I think people are so, the Western stuff and the natural horsemanship stuff is so in right now, that I think people are really trying. If their horses can go barefoot, support it, let them go barefoot. It's as natural as can be. But then, when you do go on a long trail ride, obviously we don't want them to come up sore. So putting a pair of boots on them is lovely. And I've had a ton of my own friends, ask me, from a lot of the wranglers that were on that job, are like, hey, I want a pair of these. These were great. They were so easy and comfortable.
Nice.
And everybody seems to really, really love them. I've never heard a bad thing about the boots, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. What a fun job you have and experience to share, and have that documented for a little bit here for other people to hear the story. But I just think it's fascinating too, to know how many, jobs there are within the equine industry that are not just horse trainer or barn manager, and what a fun niche you've carved out for yourself and your family.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. And, like I say, it's fun when the job is done. It's very stressful. There's lots of long days and lots of horse poop that needs to be cleaned and wild hours, but it's really fun. When it's all said and done, it's really a cool job. And I'm, there's there is several other companies in Los Angeles that do it. And we're all just I think find ourselves really grateful to get to do it, to be, so close to where the majority of movie magic happens.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the lovely boots and all the support, and we'll just continue to use them on set, and we really enjoy them.
Awesome.